All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another iteration of the Long Coffee Break. My name is Billy Donovan. I'm a sales engineer based out of Long's Littleton office. Very excited about today's coffee break. Um, it's with SLD Technology, a company I used to represent prior to joining Long, and a new partnership that we're all very excited about. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, SLD Technologies VP of Sales, Andrew Hall, and Andrew will be presenting on their AirFrame. So, Andrew, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Billy. Thanks for the accolades. And we have 15 minutes, so I'll try to keep on schedule here. So I'll be moving pretty quickly. A lot of information to transfer over to you guys. So yeah, so obviously the AirFrame is our flagship line for SLD, and we'll get right into the anatomy of the system. Today I'm going to be talking about quality, performance, and constructability, and why these systems have gone mainstream in the healthcare market. And of course, if you didn't know already, SLD technology got its name from single large diffuser methodology. And of course, we do prefabricated OR ceilings, and obviously our goals are to have better project outcomes, not only on the performance of the rooms, but on the constructability side. So you can see that these images here, these renderings here, show the SLD airframe system. Standard depth is 18 inches. We do build it as a structural modular manifold, and so it is a moment frame. And so as you can see in this hung unit here, without the diffusers, damper diffuser screens, you can see that it's basically simply hung off the deck by 5/8 all-threaded rod. And that's one of our 10 ORs down at Interquest. That's the finished product. It also includes Indigo Clean visible light disinfection technology. So when it's unoccupied, that's what the room looks like. And then we've also done HCA Rose Medical Center with a G hybrid system. And that was constructed actually at a very low clearance of 15 inches. So we had to shoehorn that in. We've done two big hybrids for Tower 3 at UC Health in Anschutz. And we also did the OR renovation project through Stryker and done multiple ORs there. That led into Memorial Central, which was another challenging 15-inch interstitial space project that we were able to execute on with Philips imaging equipment. And we also just found out we secured the Advent Health Parker project, 4 ORs with visible light disinfection, and also the 2 cath labs also with visible light disinfection. So then we work with Boulder and Smith Group on that, and all the stakeholders you see on the right. So I want to just back up a little bit and give you an overview of why AirFrame is unique. You know, what makes us different. We're taking technology out of the clean room industry. That's 2/3 of my career. We feel like using the technology will give you the operating room in the future. It is fully integrated and modular, which I'll talk about, and how that differentiates from our competition, because we can install this system faster than any other system on the market, 30x times faster than traditional stick-built construction. And then we are the originator of this technology. Matter of fact, we launched the original Clean Suite Generation 1 version of this technology over at Hunt Air and Nortech, and now Steris brands and markets a different product, but they call it Clean Suite. So we're very proud to be in this space for 15 years. We have the best performance because we've had many iterations of the product. We're on Gen 3, matter of fact, probably Gen 4 or 5 at this point, launching this year. And then we call our laminar flow zonal pressure control, ZPC. I'll talk about that. And we'll just touch on this visible light disinfection option. So what's important to know is that we're experts in healthcare critical environments. So we have about 1,500 rooms in the U.S. That have been installed. We also work in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. But all we do is operating rooms. All we do is cath labs. All we do is hybrid suites. So, and also IMRA suites. So we are experts in absolutely every aspect of designing, coordinating, laying out, selecting, supporting the project management part of it as well, from concept to completion, basically. So even though our background is in ultra clean environments, semiconductor, all we do is apply that technology just for healthcare. So it's important to understand that this technology actually came from the Intel fabs that make semiconductor chips. So that's how sophisticated this system is. And we've adopted that technology and brought it into the healthcare environment to protect not only the patient, but the staff as well. Because you have to blanket the staff with HEPA filtered air because they are the biggest contributors of contamination. So getting into a little bit of our accolades here, out of the top 20 healthcare networks in the US, we're now servicing 75% of them. So we're very proud about that. So what is in this air manifold? Well, first of all, it's a mechanical system because it does provide laminar flow. We like to call it unidirectional downward flow. We have the lights built in. We have the med gas brackets or manifolds or bridges, whatever you want to call them, also integrated and coordinated. We're fully structural, so we'll do all the light and boom pendants, imaging rails with 4,000-pound C-arms, and also patient lift integration. So we provide patient lift ready systems. We've also just recently provided a low profile system, lightweight, made out of aluminum. So if you have an application that's really tight, we can do it at a 10-inch profile and get it into those spaces. But it is non-structural. And architecturally, of course, we have our damper diffuser screens, which are a patented feature of our system, very easy to access, change out HEPAs, and the option to go with visible light disinfection, which is basically LEDs operating at 4 or 5 nanometer. So we have a lot of services here. I'm not going to go through all these, but the point is that we can support your projects not only from a mechanical perspective, but from a construction perspective as well. So we can go all the way up to deck, and the only thing that we would ask is if we're going to go all the way up to deck, we would have to charge for a little bit of engineering to do the anchorage design. And typically the materials for anchors are provided by the structural contractor. So here's the steps and lists of things that we provide. Of course, our equipment includes all the structural calcs and seismic design with every job we price. We do Revit models for BIM modeling, coordination, class detection. We coordinate all the medical mounts and utilities, where the kickers and steel are going to be. We can do that anchorage as an option. And then, of course, we provide the installation support for anything out in the field. We do have a 10-year extended warranty if you want to offer that to your customers. And also we can provide full turnkey installation if that's of interest. And what's important is every time we do these jobs is that we are the one throat to choke when it comes to code compliance, right? We're always going to meet the local codes and regulations. Typically it's FGI, 2022 or ASHRAE 170, 7.4, 2021. And in the state of Colorado, of course, they usually design at 25 air exchanges minimum. So we're very familiar with Colorado. We start with, breaking down the system on a mechanical level. The electrical is the lighting. These are 2-inch linear light bars between all the diffusers. Structurally, we put mounts on the outside called OB mounts, outboard mounts, or we put them on the inside for inboard mounts. And architecturally, we have a piano hinge with latches, very easy to open up both the screen and the damper. Now, zonal pressure control is very unique to us. We're the only company that does this. And this is delivering air actually underneath the 2-inch light bar grid. And we jet that air underneath there through these air ports. And what that does is equalizes the pressure across the entire array. So even if we have a boom mount that's internal to the array, we can add air underneath that and keep that pressure neutralized so it doesn't create turbulence. So actually our lights are delivering air, so to speak. So you can see those slots up in this picture in this more high-res image, and that's around every diffuser opening. So what's unique to us is really this unidirectional downward approach where we're not going to allow particles to migrate or entrain into the sterile field, because we're going to be pushing that air underneath the light fixtures, on the edges, away from the away from the sterile, getting the non-sterile not to interfere with the sterile air and moving particulate very quickly and efficiently. So we call that a gapless system. And that's why not all laminar flow systems are created equal. It depends on how you design it and actually how you install it as well. So as you guys know, being on the mechanical side, we have a supply plenum, our modular plenum, our SLD, single large diffuser, pushing the air down, and then we have the exhaust pulling that air. We recommend 4 returns if possible on new construction, but 2 is the minimum code requirement. And of course, if you simulate the air coming out of an SLD system, you can see that it's very efficient. It's got a lot of ventilation effectiveness and efficiencies, and that's what keeps the particulate away from the sterile field, plus the comfort for the surgical team. And our lighting is very superior to anything else out there, because we developed this, in the early days. We're the first ones to launch a system with LED bars in between the diffusers, and it doesn't interfere with, the airflow itself. And of course, it doesn't create any shadows. It's 100% dimmable. Standard boards can get 350-foot candles. If you want to go high output boards, we can get over 600-foot candles out of the system. So we do have 2 circuits. You can see in this image here, circuit on the left is the perimeter circuit. The image on the right is the interior circuit. We also have boards now that are color switching, so they can go from the white to the green automatically. So you can turn off any circuit, either white or green. And that gives you just a nice ambient light for less glare on the monitors, less eye strain for the technicians, and that's more of a clinical selection for our system. So now if you want to do a comparison on what's been used for the last 30, 40 years, so a lot of systems now have gone from just stick built to more integrated, which really means you're just bringing in T-bar grid that's welded, but you're still dropping in ducted diffusers, individually ducted diffusers, and you're keeping those lights on the periphery of the system. So the image on the right, a stick-built integrated system, still has multiple trades, multiple field components, and that is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to give cost certainty, schedule certainty, and also improve important performance with our system. So these integrated systems, even though they say they're completely laminar flow, they're utilizing standard size components, basically 2x4, 2x2, possibly 2x3, but they're all on 1-foot increments. So what you get is you get gaps between the array, and also gaps in the T-bar supports for the diffuser openings. So the performance definitely is compromised in these types of approach. And also it's a slower installation process, because typically these systems don't have structures. Now there is options for a lot of our competitors to provide structures, but typically it's on the outside of the system, or they're independent structures. They're not internal to the system like AirFrame. So this is how we avoid, we try to avoid gaps that creates turbulent zones. That's the goal of AirFrame design on every project. So if you look at the breakdown of stick built from a trade perspective, you've got about 8 different trades here working in a linear process, right? So if one trade has a problem out in the field on scaffolds and ladders, it can slow down the project. It can take 3 to 4 weeks longer to do it this way, and we can do it basically in hours by hanging a few modules with just a few connection points to the outside of our system. So not only are we reducing the footprint of our system, we're making it easier to install. And so some of these integrated systems are made out of sheet metal, so they don't offer the moment frame type of approach that AirFrame has. And that can also lead to obviously a slower installation, more coordination with steel contractors that are building the mounts for the surgical lights and booms, or the imaging rails out in the field. And so that will take at least a week to install, and that doesn't even include what the GC has to pick up structurally. So we can do this in hours again with the AirFrame system. Now, side by side, it's interesting because when you look at the delivery method, I think the biggest takeaway here is that we're about 85% equipment. It's only about 15% of our total cost is actually the labor portion of it. But it also includes all those disciplines that I talked about. So when you buy this equipment, you're buying multiple disciplines. And anyone that's going to furnish and install our product line obviously can make money on all those disciplines. So it's a good approach. It's not a approach that's trying to take labor off the site. We're just giving you more in one modular platform, similar to a custom air handler. So modular is less risky. Of course, we use we customize it to the site specific needs, but we use standardized components. It's extremely well coordinated up front, much higher quality, built in a controlled environment, no site disruptions whatsoever. It's a clean build and a quiet build, and your cost assured, your schedule assured, and you've got one throat to choke, right? Because it's single sourced. And of course, with stick built, you got all that other risk that could happen if you try to do it with individual trades, individual vendors. So here's a example of a installation that we did up in Canada, and it's an average to small OR. So it's a general OR at 400 square feet. And you can see how clean the process is in terms of the product itself shows up clean. It hangs off all threaded rod. Two modules can be interconnected and hung ready for air from the house and also electrical from the house in just an hour and a half. So that's how impressive this system goes in. And so we're basically having a plug and play field connection approach. So typically we have two duct connections, two conduit connections. You can see looking up at the system before the screens and dampers are installed that we can put the power actually anywhere around the system. And those are just the LED driver boxes. And then the supply air can actually be put anywhere around the periphery of the system as well. So there's a lot of field flexibility with these systems. A lot of people say modular is non-flexible. That's not true. The way we've designed the system, we make it as flexible as possible. So that's one of our advantages over our competition. We put the driver boxes mounted to the sidewall of the modules. Everything is terminated at the factory, shipped to the job site, ready to go. Electrician just has to bring power and control wiring to these boxes. So these are very small boxes, 1 by 2 by 4 inches deep, and they can be mounted on the sidewall. We have the option of putting them on 10-foot whips, and then they can mount them either above the system or somewhere maybe on the wall of the OR if they want to do that. And each driver is labeled and UL listed, of course, and then they just put an access panel. So if they need to change out the drivers in 7 or 10 years, they can just go up there and just pop them all out, put new drivers in. So again, very small drivers. Some of our competitors always do remote driver boxes that have to be put into a closet or an electrical room. And those boxes are very large compared to our system. So there's a lot of extra work that the GC has to do with our competition that we don't require. So again, when we get to the fun stuff here, the test, adjust, and balancing for faster commissioning, you can see that we're going to have a very simple approach. We have a piano hinge screen. The damper also swings out of the way if you need to install a HEPA filter or clean the system. And then a hex key goes through just a sort of a button in the center of the screen, and that turns the sliding plate damper, which is downstream of the HEPA. So very easy, very precise. Basically, the system is self-balancing. As you can see, we put a sliding plate damper, guillotine style damper in each opening. So when you flip this thing over, you can see that every opening can be trim balanced from the room side very easily without removing any components. So that's what it looks like. And if you look at the mechanism for the adjustment, it goes right through and just slides these dampers back and forth. So that's the approach for our guillotine sliding dampers. That's a video showing the opening of these dampers. And the last thing I want to talk about is the electrical. So even though you know, a mechanical contractor or sheet metal contractor would typically install this system, they don't have to have a licensed electrician. In most cases, in most states, they can just snap let the wiring harnesses together with a male and female connection point out in the field. So it's very easy to have this system installed by a single trade and make it very make it very streamlined. So we are compliant with Addendum L that came out back in I think it was 2018, and now it's fully adopted into FGI 2022, and basically just says that HEPAs have to be installed in 4 types of ORs: orthopedic, transplant, neurology, or burn ORs. So HEPAs now are important, obviously, and with our system, it's very easy to install, as you can see in this video. So that's how we go to market with the HEPAs. We also have an exclusive supply of PTFE, which is, of course, the Megacell series filter. And this offers a lot of advantages for owners, especially healthcare, because they're very abusive with HEPAs, and they like to have attic stock as well. So you can stack these filters, you know, in a place where they won't be damaged. And of course, you can touch the media. You can actually scrape a screwdriver across it, and it won't damage the filters. So just to wrap up, just want to summarize sort of our key benefits here. We have internal framing of the system. We always have the 2-inch light bars. We have a hinge damper diffuser for very quick access for either cleaning or installing HEPAs. And we've got the better balancing technique by not having to remove the screen or a damper, or put a damper on top of a HEPA. We don't have to do that like some of the competitors. And also we have better high output lighting, and of course the option to disinfect the room with VLD. And then we also can make these units you know, patient lift ready, which means structurally we'll calc everything out for a, you know, 600 to 1,200 pound patient lift system. And so just to give it a little bit of a push on the clinical side, even though it's an infrastructure product, it really is a clinical application. So I'll just end it with a little walkthrough here of a hybrid, or 2 hybrids we did for MedStar in Washington, D.C. And these are typically the larger rooms. You can see that this room has stainless steel modular wall panels in it. Those were not supplied by SLD, of course, but we partner with different wall manufacturers if owners want to go with a full modular approach. And then we can do the obviously the integration of different ceiling and lighting options for our owners. So that concludes it. Thank you for your time, and then I'll pass this over to Billy.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Obviously, a lot to talk about, and it's very exciting. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Your gift options are a Weekend Vibes, $100 Weekend Vibes gift card, a dumpster fire pencil holder, and a Fitbit. Please reach out to your Long sales representative if you have any questions on SLD. And please tune in next week for our VRV Best Practices series, where Andrew Schmidt and Mike Cundiff will be discussing maintenance and service. See everyone later. Bye.